I'd like to discuss this with Andrew Hawkins because maybe he can give me some advice on my frustration. I don't know why it is that I have not been able to get a take off the ground, even though I have spent carefully the last couple of weeks trying to get a take off the ground and have worked, I'm going to say 35 years shaping takes and knowing how to get them off the ground.
All right. I thought it was this with particular take for 35 years.
Not this one, but it covers about 35 years worth of ground in my career where I know how to say things that will get attention. And I don't understand why me saying on various podcasts and carefully, because I haven't gotten all out there and had the full take, but the take has been that Jokic is a better offensive basketball player than Michael Jordan.
Okay, yeah, I'm shocked that hasn't taken off the ground. Wow, that is...
I also don't think it's shocking.
Yeah, I think it is shocking.
That's kind of shocking.
I think it's shocking because I think everybody would understand, like, more unguardable, even more dominant.
Yeah.
But better offensive player, I feel like.
Well, how do you define what's a better offensive player? Because
statistics?
Just because he doesn't take guys off the dribble and pull up on them like Michael Jordan does.
That's how I define it.
How about the facts? How about instead of your eyes and what you think and the mythology, how about just the numbers?
Okay, but you're going up against, like, the greatest myth in sports.
And honestly, I mean, you're the most offensive thing in this conversation right now.
Oh, wow.
So it goes you, MJ, and then Jokic.
Yeah, like, no one goes through the day and sees, like, someone that's really good at flip cup and says, man, you're the Jokic of flip cup.
Not yet. Not yet, but you've seen what he's doing. You talk about a mythological figure. Like, he will be after he retires. Did you see how bored he looked after he hit that 66-footer last night? Just an absolute savant. And Michael Jordan was, not a savant as well, but I don't think he was this complete.
He needs 5 more titles. There's no way that body holds up for 5 more titles.
I'm trying to give context to, like, the take. And if you look at the stats, okay, I give you that. You have to use your eyeballs as well, though, because also Wemby is probably going to take over. And Wemby's just not as fun because he's 8 feet tall. Jokic has that going, too. It's not as fun when you have a clear physical advantage for what you're doing in the space that you're in.
I just find it really funny that you guys are arguing myth, fun, and memories against facts. Myth, fun, and memories against, look at the offense, look at the rebounds, look at the assists, look at the efficiencies, look at the scoring.
And let me be clear, I don't disagree with you. In my mind, the most unstoppable basketball player I've ever seen is Jokic. We're wrong. We're wrong. No one's copping the Jokic shoes. I get the IG ads all the time. No one goes to the gym and says, you know what? I'm going to play like Jokic today. It's just not. Like, Michael Jordan was a cultural phenomenon.
I think he might be onto something, though, because I think people are going to pull a Jokic by just doing something amazing and looking absolutely bored about it. Like, it's no big deal. I do this all the time.
The league is dying on his watch. Like, Michael Jordan rescued the NBA.
I feel like I'm in a Twilight Zone.
And brought it to unprecedented heights. You think Jokic is going to be in Space Jam?
I don't think I've ever been in a room with 5 people who agree with this take.
Whoa.
Sorry. Okay, Roy, my bad. Okay.
Well, I don't like
you
what's
didn't
going on
speak.
here.
I was taking your silence as alignment.
I shouldn't have to say anything.
Okay, then we're on the same page.
Thank you.
I don't like what's happening here.
I'm just saying it sounds like a wild take. Also, you got to look at the variables. The numbers may be better. Is the NBA the same? Do they play the same way?
Well, that's an important one.
Are the rules the same?
That's an important one.
Could Jokic do that?
Don't tell me you're one of those guys that say Jordan would average 45 in today's game.
I'm not that. I'm not going to say Jordan would average 45. 44.6-ish?
I
12 rebounds and 12 assists? No.
I like the idea that Hawk thinks that there's a physical thing you could do to Jokic that would stop him from scoring. That fouling him, the guy's arms are bleeding for the last 5 years, but Hawk has something that someone's going to do. But unless you allow the other players to play with brooms, to hit him with brooms, I don't know what you're talking about in terms of something is going to stop that physically. What? I remember when Shaq was this, some form of unstoppable this, and then you were like, how can anything be that strong? And then Yao Ming appeared, and Shaq couldn't move Yao Ming. What do you have doing anything to Jokic that slows him down? They are already fouling him.
I don't know. Put on the Belmont on one of the TVs, maybe.
Two words for you. Bill Laimbeer.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chatting the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah, I hear him chatting the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Andrew Hawkins strolled in very casually and just seconds before we started, so I didn't get to ask him this off air, and I'll do so clumsily on air and risk the response. Would you like to, or are you available Sunday? The reason that we have a skeletal crew today is because we're going to be working Sunday during the games. We're going to be live streaming. What are you going to be doing during the games on Sunday?
Watching them will be what I've planned.
All right, so I'm inviting you. If you'd
Okay.
like to spend time with us here, we like having you around. I'm inviting you now, and it can be a
appreciate
surprise.
that.
You don't have to commit to it.
Okay.
Are you going to come?
Didn't
Or
sound
no?
like you did, Dan.
It didn't. Well,
Sounds like I'm being put on the spot.
Well,
You know, I
so-
used to get in trouble for this. Like if I asked my mother something in front of other people where she had to give an answer, I knew it was hell to pay when I got home. So if I'm like, hey, Mom, Timmy said I can come over. Can I come? Or Timmy wants to come to our house. And she's like, the house isn't clean. There's no dinner. I didn't go grocery. And she's like, yeah, she can come.
I'll take it a step further. That's a relationship. Like you're in trouble if you like that happens to me all the time. Anthony's on the phone with somebody trying to make plans and he's asking me on speakerphone. Knows damn well I don't want to go to this place, but is putting extra pressure. Do not ask me questions in public. Do not.
That makes it. I do want to come. I do want to say that. But the fact that you asked me on spot, that you would have got your ass whipped in my household.
well, I wouldn't have asked you on the spot if your mother had taught you to be much earlier to work than you were.
Oh.
What?
Wow.
You think you're helping your cause now?
Goodness gracious. My Sunday just filled up. One. I just forgot that I had a prior engagement that I need to get to. Number two, I showed video evidence that I was behind a car accident in more than enough time to get here. Also, traffic, one of the worst things Miami has to offer.
Man.
I would love to make a list of best things and worst things that South Florida has to offer. Traffic might be number one.
Let's do
on
this.
Worst.
We can actually do this. Let's
Okay.
put this together because these things, I don't know how long you've lived in South Florida, but these things have changed.
Well, I would love Hawk's perspective on it
Man.
as a man that recently relocated to South Florida. So the new perspective is certainly one that I would welcome.
The traffic,
Thank you.
and I know this is empirical now. People will say that empirically they will find you the facts that suggest that Miami is worse on traffic now than Los Angeles is.
Bad.
That it's globally bad on traffic because we are that overcrowded with people who want, more freedom is what they're arguing.
Yeah.
A whole lot of people, more freedom and more sunshine.
A lot of sunshine. Traffic is terrible. And as someone who moved from Los Angeles to South Florida, it feels worse than it did in Los Angeles. And maybe it's because you assume that the traffic is there in Los Angeles, or there's still some version where you can predict the traffic in some way. Here, it is completely unpredictable. Like, completely unpredictable. Like, it might take me, who, with no traffic, I live probably 31 minutes from the studio, it might take me anywhere from an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and 55 minutes on any given morning.
I don't think it's completely unpredictable. When the kids are back in school, the traffic is totally bad around rush hour from 3 to 7 and from 7 to 9 a.m.
My number one thing. My number one worst thing that South Florida has to offer right now is traffic.
I can't get over the fact that he invoked your mom's name, or not name, but your mother in this. Like, how is his mother supposed to help him with traffic?
He started with his mother. He said, first of all, he learned something in his very early years that you still haven't learned in your 40s and that you haven't taught the people around you to know, which is don't ask questions that I don't want to answer in public. He learned this when
he doing a bit right now. What is this?
What is the bit that I'm doing?
Like you're just like going at people's character today.
Hey, I welcome it. Because my mom will also whip your ass too. So that's the thing about it. She is not. It's not just a me thing.
What kind of disciplinarian? What kind of disciplinarian was she?
She was tough, man. She was tough because it wasn't. She wouldn't really whip my ass, but she was a very tough mom because it was very important to her. She had a lot of kids, and she worked a lot, and so the iron fist needed to rule in moments where she wasn't around. So she was very like, yo, I'm setting the boundaries, and if you cross the boundaries, there will be hell to pay. And so the idea of the hell to be paid, it did wonders. It kept us disciplined.
But what was the hell to be paid if there wasn't if it wasn't physical? And all these years later, you're still talking about how it is you used to talk through your teeth.
Stop putting my man on the spot.
No, it's so when you're parenting, there's like, I take my son for example. He does not fear me at all. And it is the worst thing in the world. Not because for me, but it means that everybody else, like when he's at school and it's like, oh no, if I forget my badge, and it's like his world falls down. And I'm like, who gives a damn what they say to you at school? I do not care about. If I tell you it's okay, there's not a teacher, a principal, a coach, anything that can do anything to you. And it frustrates me because mine was the opposite. Because in my mind, my mom was like, yo, you don't, as long as she doesn't find out, we are completely okay. And because of that, I can operate in a world where I don't give a damn if the boss says you need to learn to get here earlier. I come when I damn well please, Dan.
That's clear.
You know? And so because of that, it's allowed me to find myself in the world. And so that's what my mom was. She was just very good. And I think it was just she was in charge.
Times have changed, man. People aren't afraid of authority anymore. When I was a kid, I'll just say it, my dad used to whoop my ass. Like belt at whatever tool he had, used to whoop my ass. And even in third grade, there was this teacher, I don't know if she's with us anymore, probably not, Miss Harrison, thank you for everything. Like she would make troubled, like kids who got in trouble, stand in the middle of the room holding a book in each hand until their shoulders were on fire, crying. and then if that didn't work, or if you did, she would just take you to the restroom, drop your pants, give you a smack on the ass. This was public school.
Yeah, no, that's facts. We had community whoopings. Like basically, my parents didn't have to whoop me. It was okay for the neighbors to whoop me.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was like, oh, he was misbehaving, and so
what?
Yes, like
community.
Yes,
so you got
man.
beat twice. You got beat by the neighbors, and then your parents beat you because
no, his parents did not.
I think that was the thing. Is it was like everybody else who my friends and stuff would also get they would get their asses whipped, and they would all talk about my mom like, oh yeah, you don't want it with her. And I think the fear of like, well, if they look at you that way, I don't even want to know what you did to get that street cred. So I'm going to make sure I stay in line.
This episode probably should come with a trigger warning. But also, I went to a Baptist kindergarten, elementary school, Westwood. This wasn't that long ago. I had a principal, Miss McCraney. She had a glass eye and toes that would curl up for whatever reason. She still wore open-toed shoes. And she had a paddle in her office that had holes in it so it was more aerodynamic. So there wouldn't be wind resistance as she spanked your ass.
This is a triggering.
I
also went to a school with
this
paddling.
was after Hurricane Andrew.
I mean, many of us are old enough to remember when the nuns did it. That was something that was pretty popular. I think Izzy might get a $50 fine there. We need to do research on his third grade teacher and find out if indeed she is dead because he just killed her. And if she's not, that's a $50 Venmo fine.
Man,
yeah,
she looked pretty old in third grade, and that was a long time ago.
The Venmo fine bucket is presented by Venmo. By the way, we got a total right now. The total in the bucket is $49.
Still seems low.
It does.
Well, Greg Cody is not paying.
I mean, Lucy killed somebody, and that's a $50 fine.
Yes. Also,
minor penalty, 2 minutes for not listening.
it's a delayed penalty for Roy. I'm sorry. He said his mother did not hit him. He said that very clearly. And then you said he was getting community whoopings after he said, I wouldn't get it at home. I'd get it from the neighbors.
Can I give him a pass? I think he read between the lines. I said my mom didn't whip my ass, which is different than not getting hit. That's like, there's levels to.
That's fine. He's gone,
and the whoopings.
The penalty is delayed, and he's got to leave.
Sorry,
the room.
Roy, I tried to save you.
Yeah,
bro.
and I don't know. You're doing.
I tried to save him.
Yeah, but that's not. You're just a coach on the field arguing a call. We have instant replay now. The ruling is final.
And we have the Venmo fine bucket, which is presented by Venmo.
He also said that.
I know. I was told to say it again.
All right. Who else would be presenting the Venmo fine bucket other than Venmo? I thought that was self-explanatory.
I don't know. You see some of these pregame shows. You have the Dodge Ram pregame show presented by Built by the Home Depot. Like, they're all over the place.
All right. Well, can you guys please turn the penalty box, turn the heat up in the penalty box? Can you please make it a sauna? Can you make instead of him just sitting coolly next to the ice, refreshed and stuff? Let's make it a sauna, and let's make him sweat a little bit.
He's got to take clothes off for that, right? You don't want him sweating in his clothes.
Well, he should be in a towel, yes. Who goes, what do you wear in a sauna? What do the rest of you wear in a sauna? You go totally nude? I will not do that.
Last time I was there, I was in Europe. Everybody was nude. It's a thing.
Oh, okay. I don't do saunas.
I go fully clothed.
Put it on the poll.
I've been hit on in my sauna before, and it's just like ever since then. Oh, what does that tattoo mean? It says Tropical Park, my guy.
Do you wear the nipple pasties? Do you wear the nipple covers on there?
I take them off before there, but I'm presently, don't send me because I'm presently wearing them under a thermal. So that'll tell you a little bit about my situation.
Okay. A lot happening here.
I will wear a collared shirt in a sauna. I am not doing nude in a sauna. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are you doing nude in the sauna, or are you doing a towel?
I did. We were in this very group sauna situation where we do aromatherapy and stuff, and there's just a lot of people in there. And right outside the sauna, the walls are glass, is a cold plunge pool and a hot tub, right? I like saunas. They're very helpful health-wise. But for some reason, this sauna was burning my nose after 12 minutes. I had to get out of there. I got out of there, and I went into the cold plunge pool completely naked, came out of the cold plunge pool, and everybody in the sauna was clearly facing my direction. And I'm just like, man, if I were less cold than this, I'd be worried about shrinkage and stuff. Nah, it's freezing. I'm getting into that hot tub.
I just don't see the need to be nude in a community full of people, but you've lived in locker rooms all your life. I remember in high school, my high school didn't have doors on the bathrooms on the stalls because they didn't want
drugs.
Yeah, kids doing blow or whatever in the stalls.
Ooh, man.
By the way,
good old Miami.
Appreciate the setup. Can we show Roy chilling there with the Nicolas Cage pillow in the sauna? Because we have a sponsor for this sauna. Enhance your physical and mental wellness routines with Redwood Outdoors. Take advantage of special savings today. Visit redwoodoutdoors.com and use code Dan to save $175. That is a huge promo code.
His hat looks like it is it's been green screened, and he is now presently taking off clothes. I don't know how nude he will be by the end of this segment. I do want to circle back around with something that I said on the Shadow Show, because whatever you think of my commentary, this is something we've talked about over the years a lot. Like so many sports arguments are. My brother and I, when we were very young, we used to, my mother tells this story, we would get into an argument fighting over a single hair, a single human hair. And so many sports arguments feel like we're arguing about the difference between something that is very comparable. Mm-hmm. Whatever you think of Michael Jordan and Jokic, whatever you want that argument to be on who's the better offensive player, whatever the difference is, it ain't much. Like, you can like high flying. You guys are making all these arguments. Cultural phenomenon, myth, fun. You're right about all of them. Michael Jordan is all these things. He'll be undefeated forever because our memories will not allow him to lose this argument. But if I put it in front of you, and Jokic is saying right now, this is the best basketball I've ever played, and the only reason he's not going to win MVPs is the same reason Michael Jordan didn't win them, is because they were bored with voting for Michael Jordan, so they'd give one occasionally to Karl Malone. But Jokic should get the MVP every year because those numbers Like, it's just an insanity. It's Shaq shooting three-pointers better than everybody.
And it's not just that. It's the elements of everybody else's game that you've seen these highlights of over the years. It's Magic Johnson, no-look, perfect over-the-head bounce passes, which you don't ever see. When we go back and we look at these highlights 20, 30 years from now, we're going to be more awed somehow than we are now. And I still argue, I said this on the Shadow Show, part of it is he's playing in Denver, because if he was playing somewhere in Southern California, New York, Chicago, wherever else, you would probably speak more highly of him, even more so. I think, as you said, in terms of the boredom of MVP voters, if they give this to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which I believe the voters will do, and they have their sort of classic reasons as to why, I think it's one of the worst cases of voter fatigue for an MVP than I've ever seen.
I don't mind any of those arguments. And I patterned myself an NBA casual. Jokic is boring.
Man,
watching.
So boring. He just doesn't
boring,
have it, dude.
I don't care if he was in South Beach, L.A., any big market. It's just not an exciting watch.
It's so interesting that so many people say that, because I disagree, because what I'm watching is so confusing to my mind, this kind of mastery with what I know all around him are the athletes you prefer to watch. All fast twitch, skying, flying dunks, and everything else. I prefer to watch those too, but the mastery is so graceful that it strikes me as a juxtaposition that is aesthetically pleasing, that I've got this giant loaf of bread shaped like a cement mixer just rolling through the paint, but also can shoot threes better than anybody.
But also, he's bored by it. Like,
Exactly.
if he himself is bored by it, how can I get
still
drawn in?
entertainment.
I'm not disagreeing with his style of play. His style of play is very aesthetically pleasing. You don't see a guy that big be that skilled, but he is
Are the
boring.
Chiefs boring? Because I was going to make this argument about winners in the NFL anyway, right? Winners do the boring stuff over and over and over again, the things that they know are going to win. And not everybody does that. Jokic does whatever it takes. He's so bored by it. He's like, oh, it's a double team. Okay, fine. Here's it. It's just obvious. It comes to him so easily. And then the skill with all that shot making is incredible. And yeah, of course he's playing the best basketball of his career, shooting 47% from three to make up for Russell Westbrook, who doesn't bring any floor spacing there. It's absolutely crazy. And I'm telling you, you will be more impressed by this 20 years from now than you are now.
I don't find the Chiefs boring, and this is probably going to drive some people crazy. Patrick Mahomes does not bore me, and Patrick Mahomes is probably a great comp for Jokic, because you tune in any game, you might see something that you've never seen before at that position. But Patrick Mahomes is cool. He's a superstar. He's engaging. He draws the audience in ways that Jokic clearly doesn't. And also, Patrick Mahomes is always there in the end. Jokic, we've had this conversation about him for 3 years. He's won one title. He's got to be there in the end.
Well, that's another thing. I think, as opposed to sort of the thing we did to Peyton Manning, the things we did to Aaron Rodgers, hey, you need to win another one, I'm of the opinion that if Jokic doesn't win 2 or more championships, all of his teammates are going to live the rest of their lives regretting that they didn't do it for him, thinking of themselves as failures, because how good do you have to be as the leader of
Which
the
is
team?
crazy, because Jokic won't give a damn forever.
He'll be at Aqueduct betting on race 7.
I want to talk about his teammates in a second, but I would argue, Hawk, that Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City this year have been boring.
Yeah.
I don't like watching Patrick Mahomes, this version of him throwing for 177 yards, 300-yard games. You're grandfathering in whatever that excitement is. I don't like watching him throw for 117 of 177 yards to Travis Kelce.
Yeah, but they've had a lot of one-score games, and every one-score game they turn to Patrick Mahomes. Sometimes they turn to their defense and they make plays, and Patrick Mahomes is going to do something on that final drive. I understand this is the most boring incarnation, probably the most frustrating, and the first time that I've really felt Chiefs fatigue. That guy's just special.
And they are boring, and not because I don't think they play boring. I don't think you would be any more excited about Patrick Mahomes throwing for 250-plus every game. It's boring because, okay, you're the best. We get it. We got it years ago.
No, I don't think it's droning the way Pete Sampras is. I'm looking at it and I'm like, your receivers stink. Like
That's not true, though.
I mean, Their receivers
They
are
have
not
the best tight end in NFL history.
Their tight end is great.
He's there.
The tight end is great. Their receivers are not. Like those are all below average receivers, all of them.
I don't think they're below average.
Statistically,
I
they have
disagree
guys
with
healthy
that.
right now.
They have guys healthy. I think right now they're. But I think last year the receivers were, and that was like the exciting part of like, how are you going to figure this one out, Mahomes? And he did. I think they're a step up this year. They've battled injuries, but I don't think they're like that pedestrian. They're 15-1, and we never talk about them.
That's what I'm saying about
Mahomes
Nikola
is going
Jokic.
for a three-peat, and we never talk about it.
I like how
it
you're
is
not counting
boring.
the Broncos loss either.
yeah, don't count it.
Yeah.
Don't even. It wasn't even played.
But
that
were
wasn't
these super
real?
exciting? Were these super exciting historically? Hopkins and Hollywood Brown, who is now healthy,
were
right?
these-
Like
were
these
these
are
fast?
exciting receivers.
Were these fast?
Yeah, that's exciting. Hollywood Brown is
Go
fast.
look at his numbers. His production is a below average
The way
receiver.
that they use him is fun. Pacheco is fun to watch because of his running cell that very few people in the league can replicate. Like
Maybe
I'm
I'm
not there yet.
spoiled from seeing what their offense has been under Mahomes. Like this
when
is
he
not.
was a rookie on a rookie deal and they could pay everybody. When you make $500 million, you gotta win with people who aren't A-level talent. And the fact that he still can, yeah, it looks boring. It looked boring with Tom Brady doing the same thing. I'm saying that they're good receivers, but it's gonna look like that when you have a guy that's eating up your salary cap the way he is. And the fact that he's still able to do it is what makes him great.
But we're arguing, or you're arguing, that
fatigued by
Nikola Jokic is doing the equivalent of 3-yard dump-offs every time, and he's not. He's doing what you say Patrick Mahomes does, figures out everything the defense throws at him, and sometimes
No.
it's spectacular.
I didn't make the comp to Patrick Mahomes. I think you did.
I did.
Or
Yeah.
you did. But I'm saying Patrick Mahomes, we're bored by his greatness. I'm saying I bored watching Jokic because there is no flair, because he's not super quick twitch, because he's not out athleticing. Like, he's doing things that people at his size we haven't seen. But when you watch it, it is not exciting the way that we've been taught to be excited about people playing basketball. That's why Michael Jordan has that kind of thing over him, is because we had never seen somebody move like that on a basketball court.
About Larry Bird.
Also boring.
Woo!
I'm sorry.
You're gonna get these white people mad at you. Man.
I'm 38.
I don't remember him.
I didn't grow up watching Larry Bird. When I watch him athletically, it does not strike me.
He was
as
cocky
super.
though. No, I think
I'm
here's-
just.
It's a Le Batard siren.
Mahomes draws you in because of his passion for the game too, and there is none from Jokic. Like Mahomes has got the cool hair.
He
the
wants
cool
to go,
sunglasses,
and
the star
Jokic is
quality.
he's an incredible basketball player. It's just not exciting to watch.
I detect a slight bias here.
No bias, bro.
Who could argue that Jokic is like fun?
Hold on. I'm going to argue it, and I will continue to argue it because when I see things that don't have a precedent.
But he's not having fun.
Okay, he doesn't get to decide what's fun for me. He gets to decide what's
I
fun for
understand.
him.
I guess there are
I'm
comics
just
that
giving
deadpan
you
and
my
it's
opinion
entertaining.
on what Carl Anthony Towns. I'm good. I don't like to watch Carl
I
Anthony
think you
Towns,
just
bro.
threw that in there because I saw your
No,
bias, and you decided
absolutely
to
not.
go
He's more Dominican.
You asked me two players.
I didn't bring up Larry Bird. You volunteered that Larry Bird was boring.
Woo!
Woo!
We have video evidence. You just said this. Why would I bring up Larry Bird? You know how far down on my totem pole? Like, to get to basketball players, you think Larry Bird?
know why
You
you
think
brought
I'm
up
going to
Larry
go
Bird.
from Jokic to Larry
I don't know
Bird?
why you brought up Larry Bird, but I got an inkling. I got a clue why you brought him up.
Man, you're bringing up the Sharks, not me, man. You're the one bringing up the Great Whites. I didn't bring those up.
I brought up one Great White, then you brought up another Great White, and you say both of the Great Whites are dull.
All right,
Now-
now
Technically, I brought
Dominican?
him up. Technically,
Let's
I
go
brought
to the
him up.
challenge.
Hawk
No.
is the one who said he was boring, though.
put them on. I'd like to throw a challenge flag and replay the clip of who brought up Larry Bird.
Okay, you're asking the video team to get something there that they might not be able to get
come on,
quickly.
man.
All right, hold on. They're going to go. All right, look, I understand that you're spoiled and you're used to just showing up at a TV place and getting whatever you want. This is not the
I
worldwide
like
leader in
the clip
sports.
now, please.
Okay, they're looking for it. I promise you. And I see you slinking away. So Larry Bird is boring now. He's
a boring athlete to me. Yes, he does not move in a way where I'm like, oh shoot.
Can you guys just get me because I'd like to do some measurements on this. Hawk obviously knows a great deal more football than I do. Certainly knows a million times more about how to be a receiver than I do. But when the Chiefs receivers' numbers are put in front of me, all I see is below average numbers. Mm-hmm. That's all I see. So you're telling me that they're not below average receivers, but their production says that they're below average receivers, all of them. Go get me DeAndre Hopkins, and Mike is right. Hollywood Brown is supposed to make a difference, but I don't trust him at all. Yeah, he's fast. They got speed, but they don't play like an offense that has speed. They play like a defense that has speed.
You want 9 routes for Patrick Mahomes.
No,
He'll give you 9 routes.
I want more than 200 yards a game from one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen.
Okay, well, 1 60-yard reception and a receiver that's capable of giving you that adds to the excitement.
Give me all their 60-yard receptions this year, and I will tell you why it is they're not exciting. Because I don't believe they're a big play. They're not a big play offense anymore.
But that was a draw to get Hollywood Brown. Like, come here, prove it year, and increase your value. And then he had the medical issue.
I am talking about the receiving unit as it stands now is an above average unit to me. For what their roles are. You're not going to have a single person who is, okay, this is a number one receiver. He has 1,200 yards. He's whatever. You have Travis Kelce. You have DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy. To me, that is an above average core because you have a young gadget guy who can stretch the field. He's one of the fastest in the league. You have Hollywood Brown who plays the slot and it allows Xavier Worthy to be in his true position. DeAndre Hopkins is just as good as a possession receiver as he's been in that role. And you have Travis Kelce, who is the best tight end in the league.
You don't think I can form the argument? I'm taking Kelce out of the equation, but you don't think I can form the argument that that's the worst group of receivers left in the playoffs of all of the
Buffalo.
teams? I like
the receivers too,
and I like them over the Commanders. So no, I don't think you can make the argument that they're at worst they're 3. They're likely number 2.
I would love to give that receiving core to Josh Allen, and I'm the biggest Khalil Shakir guy that there possibly is. And also, he's on the IR, but Rashee Rice is also a part of that unit. They got talent now. Last year, fair, and Rashee Rice hadn't come online, but they've got some talent around him, and now they're all getting healthy, with the exception of Rashee Rice. Mm-hmm. Is that still a thing, by the way? When he first got hurt, they were like, "You could if they make a deep run."
Can't I make the argument though that they have specific skills, not, as Dan is saying, not complete wide receivers, not great wide receivers, where their amazing quarterbacks are taking advantage of those specific skills. And so I'm with Dan here. Like Xavier Worthy, he's fast. Yes, he's not a complete receiver yet. I will take advantage of what he can do because I'm, that offense, and I'm Patrick Mahomes. Same thing with Josh Allen. I don't need a stud wide receiver. I can buy enough time out there to just let anybody get open and make that person, get a bunch of yards. It's the quarterbacks taking advantage of those guys, no?
Yes, you have the quarterback who can make the most out of their abilities. But even when you are drafted in the position that these guys are drafted in, like you're drafted there because you have a certain amount of tangibles that other people don't have, right? The Xavier Worthys, the Hollywood Browns, obviously DeAndre Hopkins is who he is, as well as Travis Kelce. That speaks for itself. But they are drafted in positions to say, okay, this guy is above the rest in his tangibles, and everything else that happens throughout the situation, what quarterback you have, what organization will determine where you go from there. Just that fact alone, that you're sitting there with 2 first-rounders that were drafted, in the last 4 to 5, 6 years or whatever, like they have an ability above most other receivers.
Fair enough, but not unlike the argument you guys are making with Michael Jordan. When you say tangibles, to me, the most tangible is what's the production? Not where were you drafted, not how high was your jump at the combine, now how fast you are, because I know their receivers are fast. Yeah, Worthy's fast. I don't know who'd win a race between Worthy and Hollywood Brown, but they're 2 of the fastest receivers in the league, and the production doesn't indicate that. Hollywood Brown has a ton of drops. Now, we should put him off to the side because we haven't even gotten to see what he would look like in Kansas City, but when he had an MVP for his quarterback, he was fine. He's a deep threat. He's a limited receiver. Like he's a one-dimensional receiver.
His one dimension is I'll catch a 45-yard bomb.
That's correct. Look up for me, please. Just look up for me. Offenses, big plays, and give me. However, give me. Does Kansas City have as many touchdown as long as Saquon Barkley does this year? You tell me. Like, do they have the 5 or the 6 60-yard touchdowns?
They haven't been explosive, but their explosive guys have been hurt. Although Xavier Worthy, first-round receiver,
the
that
teams
is
are built different, though, Dan. And I disagree on the Hollywood Brown thing. I think receivers need to be like receiving cores need to be right-sized. There are very few receivers who are number ones, true number ones to me, that can just line up and win. And when I think of a number one receiver, I think of a guy who can just go up there and say, hey, it's 3rd and 6. We have to throw a slant for a first down. Everybody knows you're getting it. It's one-on-one. Can that guy stop you? Or a go ball and in contested situations and 50-50 or whatever, more times than not you win. Like A.J. Brown to me, number one receiver. You cannot guard him one-on-one. Clear disadvantage. You will not win. It does not matter who is throwing the football. More times than not, he's going to win. Hollywood Brown being in the Baltimore Ravens as a number one, he was never a true number one to me. And there's a lot of receivers we can go down in. George Pickens is not a number one receiver to me. He's a number 2. Right?
Buffalo doesn't have a number 1, but I mean, I like Shakir too.
They're very similar to the receiving core for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Philadelphia's got a number 1. You can make an argument that Philadelphia's pretty close to having two number ones. Yep. And I really like McLaurin. I think he's better than anyone Kansas City has as a receiver. Agreed. Anyone.
Yep.
And now you're looking at a Kansas City team. You're arguing on behalf of them being one of the better receiving cores left, and they don't have a number 1, and the other teams seem to have a number 1.
Mahomes had a 54-yard touchdown pass to Xavier Worthy in Week 4 against the Chargers. It was their longest pass completion on a scoring play since 2022.
Aren't we making the same argument for different positions, right? What I'm saying is a great quarterback will make a system receiver into being pretty good, right? Into being a good, productive receiver. And you're saying a good receiver, A.J. Brown, can make a quarterback better like Jalen Hurts, because we see Jalen Hurts doesn't have the skill set as these other quarterbacks.
What I'm saying is I don't gauge how good a receiving core is based on how good your top guy is. Like most teams that win the Super Bowl don't have solidified number 1s for a reason. Because the number 1 receiver should be the guy that's open. So when you look at the receiving core Josh Allen has, there's a reason why they are better this year than they were with Steph Diggs a year ago. Because he is not feeling forced or pressured into throwing to a guy because I have to get you touches. I have to get you the ball in this situation. And also, you hear the Amari Cooper interview from this week where he's like, I'm fine with my role. He's had like 8 receptions in the last 5 weeks because it doesn't matter. If we need it, we'll get to it. Matt Collins is not a guy that we should be a household name the way that he is. Josh Allen is not only elevated, he's playing his role within the receiving core the right way.
But you're extending to Worthy and Brown something that you're not extending, and Hopkins, to Amari Cooper when you make your assessment of the Buffalo receiving core. You're making Hopkins something that I don't think he still is. If you give me right now, who do I want right now? Hopkins or Cooper? Please give me Cooper. I want that.
When they traded for Cooper, I said it was the most impactful receiver trade of all of them. Devontae Adams, as well as DeAndre Hopkins, for the same reasons you said. What they needed in their role as a receiving core that they did not have was a true route runner who can beat man coverage. When that comes up, he has now the ability to get open. The first time the Bills played the Ravens, none of those guys could get open because they are not true route runners. They're not separators. They're not one-on-one. Let me create separation for my quarterback. The last time they played the Chiefs, Amari Cooper is the one with the balls down the field because he's running the routes to get open. He's also getting the go balls. And so when I'm talking about Amari Cooper versus DeAndre Hopkins, I'm not talking about Hopkins as the same DeAndre Hopkins that he's been at his height. I'm saying for what he's going to be asked to do with the Kansas City Chiefs, he can still operate that at a high level because he's the possession guy.
Let me get from you guys some commentary on this because you've heard me talking about for years. I have a hard time separating when you have team sports who's responsible for whose success in everything that we're talking about. I have always thought, since this run started, that the Denver Nuggets starting 5 is 5 players, as strong a 5 as you can get. But when I dive into the numbers, they're terrible when Jokic isn't on the floor. they're unprecedented offensively when he is. And I really do wonder about what I'm about to say. So Cade Cunningham, I thought Izzy had more doubt about Cade Cunningham than there should be. He is the lead player on a 500 team, and just recently he had 2 consecutive games with double-digit turnovers, which is something that's never happened in the sport before. But he by himself has a team overachieving that is decent, but he's their clear number 1 usage rate player, and because of that, he's going to be in the All-Star because they're a 500 team. Mm-hmm. I wonder if I just put Jokic on the Pistons, whether they too would have the record that the Nuggets have. If I put Jokic on any team in the league, it makes me wonder, well, how good is that starting 5 really in Denver? Because Aaron Gordon wasn't this when he couldn't just dunk everything in Orlando. He became a very good 4th player, championship-worthy 4th player, when all of a sudden all he's getting is all these lobs at the rim. How good, actually, are Jokic's teammates?
If you think about Aaron Gordon, what he was supposed to be in Orlando, like you mentioned, and what he sort of settled into as effectively, in my opinion, the best role player in the league, that's almost a gift, right? You're getting a guy who is supposed to be a star, and it's like, no, it's almost like Amari Cooper. I'm okay playing this role, and so he's an elite role player, right? The other guys that won a championship with it anyway, KCP is an elite defender in the perimeter and a really good shooter. So it was almost a perfect fit around Jokic. But I think what we're seeing now is that, he can adjust to whatever teammates he has. He and Russell Westbrook are making magic out there sometimes. And so, yes, if you put him on the Detroit Pistons, as long as there's some level of balance there, it's not just a bunch of Jalen Durans around him, then they will absolutely be top of the East.
The reason I asked the question is because Michael Jordan wasn't win 50, 60 games every year until he got a top 50 player by his side. He was somebody who would get to the playoffs and then end up losing to people who had better number 2s and number 3s, even though he was the one scoring 63 and boring Larry Bird was calling Michael Jordan God in the locker room after Jordan had lost in a playoff game. I really do wonder if I put Jokic on any team in the league, am I getting to 50 wins?
I think absolutely, and I think that's part of the gift. That's part of the brilliance of Jokic is he makes everybody else better. Whoever, like Cade Cunningham, I like him. He's last year with bad teammates and a worse coach was not doing very well. That's where I formed that opinion on him. This year looks a lot better. Still has a bunch of turnovers, but he is not elevating everybody. Right? There's actually just better players around him, Tobias Harris and whatnot. But I think with Nikola Jokic, he would make everybody around him better, and that's just something that is you can't really measure.
So Jalen Duran, Cade Cunningham, and Tobias Harris. Okay, I'm Googling who they play for.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Are the Pistons Cade Cunningham, Tobias Harris, and whatnot?
Dan, I'm 39 years old. The only memories that I have of Michael Jordan are when he was winning. I don't remember the roadblocks. I needed the documentary to fill in those gaps. When he was losing to the Pistons, was Michael Jordan certifiably consensus the best player in the league?
Yes. Just a ball hog. Just viewed as a ball hog because he wasn't winning.
I mean, he changed the whole way people thought of the NBA. They thought you have to win with a big guy. Now you have to win with this. Now you can win with a guard. But I'm with Mike here. Like when he was losing to the Pistons, there was still that conversation of, he doesn't pass the ball. He can't be the best player in the league, right?
Total ball hog. That's what Michael Jordan got. He was getting crushed at every turn, and then he started winning all of the championships. But that's how it happened. We treated him really badly, but it was before social media. And so he couldn't win, even though there was a play where Lambeer cut his leg with a machete.
When did it turn? When did they start looking at Michael Jordan as the greatest? Like what year? When it was like, he's the best?
I think it was the first three-peat. Like the first three-peat where they're just like, wow, this is incredible. I don't think anybody's done this before. And it's a small guard doing it. Best player ever.
So 94?
Do you realize
I was 7.
How absurd it is to say the sentence, the first three-peat?
To all, welcome to 2022. Omicron is on the run, and away it went. But oops, there goes gravity, and here comes a new variant. Omaha, Corona, Hut 1, Hut 2. Nothing infects the Super Bowl, and nothing stops football.
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE, prayer circles. They blackballed the black baller. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys. It's all immoral, all unethical. Ooh, the witching hour. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's Urban and Snyder and Flores and Gruden, but Kyler, but Kelsey, but Cooper, but Canty. It's cheating and tanking and bounties and banking,
all in. I'm a fan of the Jets. I'm a fan of the Jets. Oh, no. The Jets. The Jets. Why this team? The Jets! The Jets!
Stugotz, what's the matter, buddy?
I mean, right, just one time. I mean, 40 years I've been rooting for this team, and just one time I wanted my team to play in that big game in that beautiful dome in Los Angeles.
Dome? What about the elements?
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Would the 6-win Wizards win 50 games with Jokic on their team? 6 wins is what the Wizards have. They are dreadful. I have a number of different videos that I would like to play for the audience. But first, Andrew Hawkins, I feel like wants to attack Izzy.
A little bit.
Mike Ryan is accusing me of creating tensions everywhere, and that he asked me if I'm doing a bit.
Yeah.
But this is you volunteering something during the break about Izzy, so you might as well take it up with him.
I don't think you're doing a bit. I think you were just genuinely attacking the character of people within the room. That's number one. Number two, Izzy, it was asked in an NFL locker room about if guys are naked going into the cold plunge in the hot tub. That is a finable offense in a locker room. Now, granted, it is a workplace and it's not Europe. So that's an important asterisk in the conversation. But if a guy got in the cold tub, in the hot tub, naked, they would be banned by the rest of the players. And it doesn't quite make sense because you're just wearing tights. It doesn't actually do anything different, but I just think the idea that it makes you feel like there's more germs entering if a naked body is going into those spaces.
I don't think you understand how water works, right? This actually happened to me. When I was doing this, and everybody was in the sauna and still could see me. I went from the sauna to the cold plunge to the whirlpool without showering in between, right? I showered before. And then I had this, I want to say German gentleman, could have been Austrian, come up to me as I was in the whirlpool, while other people were kind of standing around, sort of Karening me, saying, excuse me, next time, if you could please take a shower. I was like, well, thank you. One of the people who work here never told me to do that. I took a shower beforehand. And also, I'm not sure you know how sweat works, right? Because it's not like it just comes out dirty. And if I get into the whirlpool, I'm going to sweat anyway, whether I took a shower or not. Sorry, I'm just taking it out on this dude.
You know what? I think I'm with him. I think I need my mind to be relaxed, to say, okay, you at least washed something off and you got in with a clean body into the space. Otherwise, it feels like you're cleaning your body in the shared space.
But we're all in the shared space supposedly clean beforehand. Again, this is a matter of not knowing how pores work.
Okay, so you showered before you got in.
I mean,
thoroughly.
He has accused you of knowing
my character is being assassinated.
It's not just your character.
Everything is being my intelligence.
It's your intellect. You don't know how pores or water work.
Cover your balls.
Please cover your balls.
Cover your balls.
Can we put
They're
that sign on the
they're
door?
Floating all
What
up
if I
like
covered
at
them
the
with
top?
my hands? Would that make you happy?
No,
No.
because then it feels like you're trying to do a photo shoot or something.
Yeah.
The other thing that gets on my nerves at NFL locker rooms, and this is where you got to be naked.
I just want to remind people I was not doing this in an NFL locker room. I was doing this
was
in a
playing
wellness
for the
spa in
Indianapolis
Europe.
Colts, and he was naked in both the cold plunge and hot tub and refused to shower before, in the middle, or after. But I hate that NFL locker rooms have shared showers. It makes no sense. I think I've brought that up on this show before. These are billion-dollar organizations. We should not be showering like it's 1920 in the military.
You are so right about
They don't
this.
even do that at Bonnaroo.
It doesn't make any sense. These are like multimillionaires who then have to all get naked and go into the same shower. There are times where guys share shower heads because there's not enough shower heads in
What?
visiting locker rooms.
What?
Yes.
Tell me more.
It's like you like I have to go in, and then it's like, oh, you done? Okay, cool. And then you jump in because there's 7 shower heads for 73 people.
But
It's ridiculous.
Is that shared shower heads? Because right now, what you just created for me is I've got Deion Dawkins and Josh Allen under the same shower head at the same time, and so the visual you've
Well,
created.
they're stepping in and out.
I'm going to tell you exactly how this works. You go into a space. Let's say we're playing at the Buffalo Bills, who have the worst visiting locker room in the NFL. There's half the shower heads don't work, and there's like 9, right? Again, there's 70 of us.
That's
so
crazy.
Either everybody showers one at a time and we leave at 4 a.m, or showers are just hitting the ground and Deion Dawkins is on one side, Josh Allen is on the other.
Careful, you're writing fan fiction right now.
Soaking up, and then one gets in, leaves. Like basically, you share and go back and forth.
That can't be right.
I'm telling you, bro.
That can't be right. People like different temperatures of
No,
shower.
man. Half the time, there's no hot water, Dan. It doesn't matter what tip. This is literally almost like prison. It doesn't make any sense.
It is such a simple ask. Like in every gym you go to, right? There's walls between showers. I would argue I want full walls between urinals.
Yeah.
They build new stadiums and facilities every year, and they have so many upgrades. They have LED, LCD screens, video walls.
Well, the visiting locker room is made bad on purpose.
It's a home locker room, too. They do all these upgrades, but yet every single time, the shower heads are right next to each other with no curtain, no divider.
I see your feet.
Like, it's ridiculous, man.
It is. You are out here giving us access that we have not had before.
You worked with the Players Association, right? Why?
No one listens to me, man. All right, Miami home locker room is the second worst thing about Miami.
Okay, you've written that down as well. Thank you. I really do just enjoy mixing and matching. Just putting Laramie Tunsil next to C.J. Stroud and just both of them just showering under the same.
Dude.
And C.J. saying,
"Careful,
that's a little warm. I'd like it a little colder." It just doesn't. What you're describing doesn't make sense.
The crazy part is that you're saying it in this way where it sounds so ridiculous. It doesn't register in my brain as ridiculous because it literally is the reality.
You lived it.
You're just telling a fact.
Can you give me the name of somebody that you were bothered because they were just a little too comfortable with their nudity in the locker room? Like you were just like it was excessive. That you don't need to be prancing.
For the record, I did not give Dan this list of questions.
Got to be a lineman.
There's nobody. I can't think of anyone that was like, oh, they're too comfortable being nude in the locker room because you're there all day. It is what it is. There are people that are too comfortable in the shower. Like there's a protocol that needs to be followed. Like for example, we're all in there naked. Everyone showers facing the wall. And then you got guys that'll shower facing out. Like that's just not the protocol. Or FaceTiming in the shower. We have players who will be FaceTiming their wife or girl in the shower. And it's like, hey man, we got to draw the line somewhere. This is not the proper place to be having a conversation with somebody else.
This person was fined, no? Like, this can't happen on the regular.
Nah, he was not fined. He was not fined.
You didn't answer my question.
Yeah.
You avoided my question.
What was your question?
On naming someone who
was too comfortable.
Just
I thought he was. I thought it was clear what Hawkins was doing.
It's okay.
Not playing your game.
Okay, but if he doesn't want to play the game, that's fine. I'm just going to call him out in front of everybody for not playing the game, and I'm going to re-ask the question because he didn't answer the question.
You played for Pat Shurmur, right? Did he ever say anything ever that excited you?
I didn't play for Pat Shurmur.
No?
Shurmur was before me, yeah.
Okay. Did you hear Pat Shurmur's stories about, like, man, that guy was like a real firecracker?
No, I have not heard a Pat Shurmur story.
Can we play for the people?
I'm not also outing people that are too comfortable in the locker room. That's what you want me to do.
No,
I've avoided the question.
It's fine
on purpose.
Okay,
I don't need their mentions to be blowing up.
Right. I just don't think of it as I understand the locker room is sacred. I just thought perhaps you had a friendship with somebody, and because insults can be the language of intimacy among men, that maybe there would be somebody, yes, I've made fun of this person because he likes to swagger or waddle through the locker room.
I got to correct ChatGPT real quick. They're supposed to cure cancer, and they don't know when Pat Shurmur was coaching the Browns.
Okay, so he's pretty stubborn. He will indeed look up things until he proves that your memory is wrong on who you played for.
No. I'm trying to get the computers to.
If I was to guess, I would say
over.
Shurmur was 2011 to 2013.
I really don't know why Mike decided to bring this to a Pat Shurmur
I was like, I wanted to ask about. I was trying to get him away from the thing he didn't want to answer.
No,
and then ChatGPT,
I
asked, hey, did Hawkins ever play for Pat Shurmur? And they were like, yeah, he did. And I'm like, you stupid computer.
The sound and the video that I have here, because I've got an assortment of videos that I want to play for you, but we mentioned Dion Dawkins, and he showed up at a game, which this struck me as odd and a bit primal. Just showed up at the game, did the walk that everybody does in the nice clothes, shirtless. And Dion Dawkins is 300 and something odd pounds, and he's a wonderful lineman. And he's making an argument here on behalf of something, and I want to see if you would agree with this from Dion Dawkins' video. Do you have that sound, please? Okay, you do not have Dion Dawkins, and Roy has left the room for some reason. At any point that you guys want to give me that Dion Dawkins sound, you let me know, because Dion Dawkins is arguing on behalf of, he wants an offensive lineman of the year. He wants somebody, I assume it's offensive lineman. It may be offensive or defensive lineman.
It would make sense that it would be offensive lineman because defensive linemen can be defensive players of the year. Offensive lineman would never.
So let me hear that sound real quick, please.
That is a part of this league to be able to get an award for being great. And I'll circle back on, offensive linemen don't have awards for being great. There's not a protector of the year award. I'm knocking at so many doors now to get this award going. And I'm going to head spirit and make sure that this gets done before I'm done playing, because there's so many greats. And if we have great quarterbacks, we have great running backs, we have rushing titles, we have quarterback passing titles, all those titles are reflections of the O linemen, which are the protectors.
Okay. Couple of questions. Number one, what did him walking into the stadium shirtless have to do with anything?
We were talking about guys who were comfortable with their nudity.
Okay, so there was a segue. All right, I didn't see the connection between that and
but you did understand all the Pat Shurmur questions you were getting for some reason.
It's a Browns fan. As much as he says he's not, I know what's in his heart. I know exactly where Pat Shurmur came from.
I was trying to move the conversation along, and guess who brought it right back?
Who brought it? So the Lineman of the Year award. First off, Dion Dawkins he's an interesting offensive lineman because he gives you receiver energy. And you don't typically – there are offensive linemen like that, but he is a very much like – hey, look at me, because that's how receiver
I'm
is.
shirtless.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at me perhaps when I'm nude in the locker room.
I'm very good. Look at my clothes. Look how dope I dress. I will take my shirt off. He wants the attention for how good he is. So this makes sense, and I'm okay with that. Another part of that just came to me. Jokic is like an offensive lineman in the NBA. That is his personality. The way Jokic goes about his business life is like kind of the O-line, that they're like, hey, it's a thankless job. I'm just here to do what I need to do, and then I'm going home to probably my farm or my tractors or my horses, which is kind of how offensive linemen are.
It is so rare for an offensive lineman to seek attention.
No, it's not. It doesn't come along with the territory. It's actually like when people scout offensive linemen, they look for ones who understand that. They're a unit. You are a thankless job. Like, you make one bad play, and that's the only time you'll ever be talked about, even though you have a 99% success rate. That is how it works.
I don't understand how it's taken this long for somebody to bring this up. Like, it's such an obvious void that's been there. It is the one area of that sport that doesn't get rewarded. Everything else can be. Even in college, do they have that at the Home Depot Awards? Do they have? I think it's
they have Outland.
Yep,
they have Outland. It's
Award.
interior lineman, right? So in the NFL, absolutely, it's an entirely different situation. And please stop doing that to Jokic. If an offensive lineman could throw the ball, catch the ball, intercept the ball, and then I would maybe make that comparison.
I just mean personality-wise. He has the personality of an offensive lineman.
Hawkins and I aren't disagreeing with you guys. We get it.
We understand. It's just,
he's
you
just
know.
He's just got no energy to him. There's nothing there.
But I don't think he's watching that many Nuggets games. I'm just going to say it.
I'm not watching any games because it's on his watch.
I'm
which
telling
is the
you
problem.
now, I'm not watching a lot of Nuggets games. I'll see them when they're in the playoffs like everybody else. The ratings say that makes sense.
But what you and Mike are saying, though, is really offensive to just people who really love basketball.
Okay. Oh, so sorry.
Okay.
Be better.
It was as if I started watching Patrick Mahomes this year and him winning these close games and he's doing some things, but I'd be like, he's okay. But I have no context for that.
That is not true. We opened this with who's better, Michael Jordan or Jokic, and it's crazy that I said Michael Jordan. Now I'm insane because I fell for the Nike marketing since I've been 6.
Mike Ryan just said of Jokic, be better.
No, I said of the sport, be better.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're putting a lot of words in a lot of mouths today, Dave.
Well, let's go to
That's
an
all I'm
investigation here. Let's go because Andrew Hawkins, we now finally have the video here of this Andrew Hawkins investigation. There seemed to be a slight bias here where he said Larry Bird was boring as a player as well. So if you guys can please get me the proof. He is claiming that Izzy was the one who mentioned Larry Bird, that it is not him who brought up Larry Bird, and he cannot be accused of bias here. Let's hear the sound. Let's see the investigation.
But when you watch it, it is not exciting the way that we've been taught to be excited about people playing basketball. That's why Michael Jordan has that kind of thing over him, is because we had never seen somebody move like that on a basketball court.
About Larry Bird.
Also boring.
So you're racist.
Can we go back and check the tape again of when I already said that I'm the one who brought it up and that you're the one who called them boring? Run that tape back.
I didn't even know. I couldn't even remember it. Dan had me so flustered with the fact that he was giving it to me that I'm the one who brought up Larry Bird. I had no idea who even brought it up.
Can we find you for this, Dan?
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show.
Venmo it.
Cover your balls? Yes or no? At Le Batard Show. Put it on the on
only
the poll.
the balls.
Well, but look. You cannot walk from the sauna to the whirlpool and make no stops and no cares about anything. I'm with Hawk on this, and I understand. And it's not because I don't understand how pores work, and it's not because I don't understand how water works.
Balls are buoyant.
It's put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are balls buoyant?
And also put it on the poll. Is the league dying on Jokic's watch?
Come on!
It is.
Come on!
It is.
You can't go straight from the sauna to the whirlpool nude in front of people.
They're not even in the same building.
Maybe if it's only your sauna and only your whirlpool,
they
can
were
do that.
Connected by a walk bridge. He went from one building to the next, and I don't know pores now. This is ridiculous.
A walk bridge. It's just Izzy striding. He didn't even dry off.
I showered before. It's okay. What the hell are you doing, man?
Just shouting at anyone who will listen. I showered this morning. You don't know how water works. You don't know how pores work. You don't know how towels work. I'm clean. Don't tell me to cover my balls.
I didn't say any of those things.
You did say.
There was also not a bridge. It was just a glass door.
It's ridiculous.
I want to get Hawk's thoughts on something else here. Travis Hunter is saying something, and this is funny to think about, right? Because Travis Hunter was, we had video of him in his kitchen with all of the awards, and I would be for every position getting an award. I'd like to know every year who's the best cornerback. Please tell me every year. Is it Patrick Surtain? Is it Stingley? I'd like to know. Somebody tell me who gets the award for being the best cornerback. But Travis Hunter, who may be the number 1 overall pick. I don't know. Shador was teasing Cam Ward here last night saying that Travis is going to be the number 1 pick.
The Titans seemingly I watched the clip and I'm like, did they give away who they're taking number one? Because they hinted at a generational talent, which is why Shedeur and Cam had their generational talent debate. But it kind of felt like they tipped their hand a little bit with Travis Hunter, which is the whole Tennessee thing is weird. I theorized when Louis Riddick was campaigning and Deion Sanders was campaigning, Rand Carthon's out. That's a big opening. And then I talked to people close to the situation. Are you familiar with the power dynamic in Tennessee?
It's weird.
Rand Carthon brought in an assistant GM in Chad Brinker. Rand Carthon then signed an extension. And he agreed to a whole new power dynamic that had his assistant GM surpass him in the corporate hierarchy and become president of football operations. Now, I've done some digging. It seems as though something was planted in someone's ear, and Rand Carthon's out, and the guy that's still there was the guy that he brought in as his assistant GM. So any kind of pipe dreams of Shedeur Sanders and Louis Riddick and all that, I found out very quickly after I theorized that no, Brinker's in control over there, and he ran out the guy that brought him in.
So Travis Hunter, here's the sound on him talking about how little money Cam Ward was getting and how prices are rising all over the sport.
How's all these people getting this much money, bro?
Like this NIL market seems like it resets every 4 months.
Hold on, let me go test it out, bro. I'm finna go test it out, bro. Let me go back to college. I'm going back to college, bro. Let me see if I can get me $100 million.
Want to see what your NIL value is?
Yeah, let me see my NIL value, bro. Let me see if I can go back and win another Heisman, and because $10 million, I ain't make that in college.
Right. Let me negotiate. Let me go get on the phone. Hey, Travis, I want to hit them. See what they say.
Yeah, let me go hit the porter right quick, bro. $10 million, bro. Yeah. I mean, it's not accurate. I know that, but still, bro.
Right.
Well, that part, it's not accurate. I know that, but still. And also, Travis, if I may, ages, they're different. Carson Beck is 2 years older than you, so that's out. If you want to make $10 million, you can come back to school.
Would Miami take him, you think?
I guarantee you if Travis Hunter came back to school, he'd get that number. If he were 23, the way Carson Beck is 23, he'd get that inaccurate number.
This feels like every music biopic for music artists when at the point they wait a minute, let me see that contract. And it's way too late. It's I wasn't getting that. It's whoa.
They pay SEC winning quarterbacks more money than corners? Huh?
There is so much weird stuff going on all around this sport. Was it an East Carolina punter who's 31 who just entered the portal? There was a punter somewhere. What is happening with Van Dyke? So Van Dyke leaves Miami, goes to Wisconsin, and now he goes to SMU. I thought that was going to be better in Wisconsin than it was. And SMU already has a playoff quarterback?
They have a playoff quarterback who totally short-circuited in Happy Valley. I guess shout out to that game day atmosphere because I was watching that game and wondering, is this guy on the take? I haven't seen someone unravel like that in quite some time. But Tyler Van Dyke, I haven't Googled it or asked ChatGPT, but I'm assuming he's 38 years old. He looks it. Right? So Tyler Van Dyke transfers to SMU. Makes sense in that Rhett Lashley's the head coach there. He's the offensive coordinator down here in Miami when Tyler Van Dyke had his best year, when he put up a crazy stretch. Was it 7 games of 500 yards passing? It was just insane. So he goes to Wisconsin, tears his ACL in that Alabama game. It wasn't going great for him in Wisconsin prior to. Honestly, the best he ever looked was that first drive against Alabama. It's a weird spot for him to go to. Does this mean that they're pushing out SMU's starting quarterback? No, apparently not. The plan is for Tyler Van Dyke to essentially help with the offense. They have De'Ara King over there as a quarterback's coach, and they are building out their staff, and they essentially want Tyler Van Dyke to help coach while he rehabs that knee injury, get a medical red shirt, and then the plan is for Tyler Van Dyke, who I think was starting during COVID, to play next year as QB1.
That's crazy.
I love it. Give guys all the eligibility. Let them just keep playing. It's professional football now. Let's see these long careers. Let's see these 10-year careers.
What do you make of what Quinn Ewers did? Because Quinn Ewers, I guarantee you, would have made way more money going back to college. But he decided to go to the pros. And I've talked to people that are in scouting departments in the NFL. It's not a great quarterback class. We'll see how he does. But right now they have a mid-round grade on the guy. There's no way he commands what he would have in the NIL space, which is definitely in the neighborhood of $7 million, $8 million.
Do you think he stays the quarterback there next year if he stayed at Texas?
No, he definitely wasn't going to play again at Texas.
Right.
Definitely wasn't going to play again at Texas. And let me tell you a little something about this whole transfer portal thing and the tampering.
Happen to know?
Let me tell you something. Every agent in America that represents a college athlete worth a damn has reached out to every school in the nation. This notion, like Wisconsin, tampering, like you have no idea the names that are reaching out to schools all across the nations that never actually enter the transfer portal, that just raise their own value in between. So there is reverse tampering, if there is anything like that. There is no way Quinn Ewers was going to say at Texas because he had Arch Manning behind him.
Right.
Quinn Ewers' representation definitely knew that. That's how you get the reports out there of what his market value is and what schools are willing to pay. When he's not in the portal, how do we know this? Because the whole thing is shady because of the construct.
What was leaked is that he would get $6 million, or that he had a $6 million offer to not go to the NFL. You're going to now start you already have college programs that will compete with the NFL to keep their players from going to the NFL.
East Carolina University's punter Luke Larson is officially entering the transfer portal following his fourth and now final year with the Pirates. At 32 years of age, Larson is officially the oldest player in both the transfer portal and college football.
I would tell college players the same thing I tell all my nieces and nephews. Stay in college as long as you can. The real world is not the business, man. It's a great place. College is awesome.
How much would you pay to go back to college as to know what you know now and to just go back and get another year of college?
Like you're putting out all that great Toledo tape and an SEC school comes.
I don't think he's
around.
thinking about football though. I think I'm just talking about life.
I think in totality, I think it's all, and I'd maximize it all. I would put some bread up. I would put a lot of money up to go back and do it again.
Toledo Rocket hurt you. Right?
No,
they didn't hurt you at the getting looks at the next level. If you were the same size, the quickest man on the planet, but you were doing so at Tennessee, it would have gone better for you, right?
What hurt me was my coaches sucked. They kind of sucked, and I wasn't being showcased or anything like that. But it weirdly helped me because when it was time to get to the NFL, there was no history on me. So there was no you had these injuries and this, you didn't do this versus this game. Nobody scouted me, so it was a blank slate, which helped me actually get my opportunity.
Let me
Weirdly.
ask you.
That's very weird, right? But that is the truth.
Let me ask you this. Did you know your coaches sucked while they were sucking, or did you have to get good coaching later to realize your coaches sucked?
I don't want to be harsh, but yes,
you already started it.
It's the truth.
How about Mike Pettin?
I'm sorry.
Said that he sucked.
It was very much like I did everything I was supposed to do. I worked my butt off, and you feel crazy. This is why I'm so you feel crazy when you go through something and you have a confidence about yourself and you work at it and you feel like, man, I feel like I'm good, but everything around me says otherwise. So then when life happens and you were the one who was effing right, then I don't give those people a pass because I felt like a lunatic at that time that I could play in the NFL. And they told me I was a lunatic and people told me I was crazy. And then I'm here and it's like, oh, you persevered. It's like, kiss my ass. All right? Because those were hard years. So, no, I don't give those guys a pass because I knew what it was then, and I felt like they knew too, but yet I had to go the track that I had.
What about Pettin?
I like Pettin. Pettin was a good dude.
Yeah?
Yeah, I liked him.
He could be a good dude, but were there ever times that you were in the huddle like, I don't know about Coach?
No. There was he was a defensive coach, and he was more focused there. We had Kyle Shanahan.
You had Kyle and Mike McCain.
Who was like, we're running the offense, and Pettin was like, all right, cool. There's that viral clip of him suggesting an offensive play one time, and Kyle looks at him like, why are you talking to me? That was kind of what it was with Pettin. Pettin was a great guy, great coach, more on the defense than the offensive side. I enjoyed Pettin. We weren't very successful. We were for 10 games. We went 7-4, which was significant in Cleveland.
And then you put in Johnny.
Then we put in Johnny, and we made a documentary.
It's crazy.
We made a 30 for 30, guys.
It's crazy that Johnny played with Mike Evans.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Does it surprise you at all that Andrew Hawkins is stubborn about his arrogance? Why don't you people realize that I'm great and belong in the NFL? Clearly, there's something wrong
I'm 5'7",
with all of you.
171. What are we missing here? Are you blind?
You didn't watch Hunter Renfro at Clemson and been like, I could have killed that role. I would have killed that role if Clemson gave me a look. I would have just I know I'm not white like Renfro, so I maybe wouldn't have had like the whole fan base behind me, but I would have just destroyed that role.
Renfro?
Yeah.
Renfro's a beast, bro.
He was great in
Don't
college.
disrespect Renfro.
I'm not disrespecting him. I'm just saying you're better.
Okay. I'm not going to argue anybody who says I'm better, but Renfro is...
Renfro? Boring.
I like him.
Boring. Wes Welker? Boring.
Those guys aren't
important.
Those guys aren't important.
Amendola?
No, there's
Boring.
a special place in the NFL for all those guys.
Steve Largent?
We all
Boring.
love those guys. No, Steve Largent was on the
Didn't
outside.
they name a route after Wes Welker?
Eric Decker? Boring.
Welker's film is who I watch the most.
Decker, not Dicker.
Getting to the NFL.
I thought I said Decker.
Welker is actually, to me, even more underrated than what people say. Like, they talk about Welker. I don't think people actually understand how incredible he was from a technique perspective and all things. That's why he's a great coach. I used to study his film religiously. Like, every catch, every route, I would have them. My brother would get it from the Patriots. They would send it to me, and I'm in Canada, and I'm breaking down literally I stole so much from Welker.
What is there to steal? Isn't it just quickness? You're either quick or
No,
you're not. Like,
see,
you
that
have to
is-
learn the footwork, yes, but
No.
if you're not that quick.
No, I mean, the quickness, whatever your ability is your ability, right? But it's not just it's not like you get talent out of a Cracker Jack box, and because you have this talent, you get to be there. Wes Welker was extremely quick, but it's in the technique of what he does when he changes direction. It's understanding defensive rules, defensive back rules, and everything, and changing what you do in your route to deceive. So one thing that Welker would do, he was great with what we called it his eyes in his head, and that when he's going right, the timing of when he turned his head left, because he knew if the receiver sees me turn my head a certain way or my eyes a certain way within a route, they're going to change their hips. And then at this point, I'll be able to cut. I stole it all. I would make notes in literally every little piece of it. I don't think I would have made the NFL had I not had access to Wes Welker tape.
One
So
of
boring, that guy.
my favorite stats that would illustrate to you why it is the AFC East was what it was when the Patriots and Dolphins were both in it. Wes Welker, 50 career touchdowns. One of them for the Dolphins.
Nice.
One of them.
I love that stat.
One of them for the Dolphins. And here's his experience with his neighbors when he was a Dolphin.
I just moved into a house, and one of my neighbors said, "You play for the Dolphins?" I was like, "Yeah." He told me, "No wonder we were in 12 last year."
He and I think it was Zach Thomas one time got confused outside of a restaurant with a valet, and somebody just handed Zach Thomas his car keys. What do you mean that happens?
That happens routinely to me.
You get handed car keys at a valet?
Yes. I get handed car keys at a valet. I get, hey, will you put this? Do you guys have this in a size 6?
Is it because of how you dress?
This is while I was in the NFL.
Wow.
This is, hey, you can't enter through here. Really? Because I'm the starting wide receiver. Maybe you should call somebody. Routinely.
What's the most embarrassing one you have there, or what's the most memorable one you have? Routinely confused with the valet. Someone just hands you a set of car keys.
Because you're in settings where it's like, oh, the so-and-so players are here, right? And so anybody who's not 6'6", 275 pounds, incredibly jacked, they must be here working, because this is the entrance where only players can come in. And so the 5'7" guy with a sweater pulling up in a 2006 Chevy Impala, they're just not going to assume that, here goes that superstar wideout that we got.
But why did they think you were a valet person? Were you just hanging around the keys at an event and they would throw them at you?
Yeah, because I'm standing in the front. I
don't like how that makes me feel.
Hey, man, it's life, bro.
I'm sorry. I feel like I should apologize.
Nah, don't apologize, man. This is how it works, man. It's okay. I put it more to the fact that I am a very relatable size.
It's a car stealing opportunity, is it not?
Of course. I'm not saying I didn't think about it, Izzy. I'm just saying this is what happens.
I just feel bad.
Just making sure we're on the same page.
Because of the racism.
Because of the racism and all.
Hawk, man. Couple of D1 athletes.
Hey, you and me. Where the hell did you just come from?
Yeah, it's an excellent question.
I wanted the shower conversation you guys were having earlier.
Yeah, let's
the
go back
most
to that.
alone I've ever felt is my first day as a college football player in that locker room when I realized people just didn't go home and shower, and we all had to kind of shower there. Also, Mike Florio, Keep my head coach's name out your mouth. You're embarrassing yourself right now.
Whoa.
Linking him to every job.
All right, get out of here. I don't know why it is you're always around. Les Taylor is a life adage we should all live by. We were talking about coaches that suck, so let's go to one that is viewed as the best there's ever been in college football. He did a really good, revealing interview with The Pivot. Ryan Clark is doing a lot of good work, and he's also fighting with everybody, which I enjoy.
Is his lapel getting bigger?
Ryan Clark has evidently stepped publicly to Marcellus Wiley, which seems unwise, but Ryan Clark doesn't mind fighting with people.
Saban, former Toledo head coach, by the way.
I was surprised to hear Saban say this was his greatest regret. They asked him about a coaching regret. See if this one surprises you guys at all.
When I left LSU, that was probably professionally the biggest mistake that I ever made. Not because we didn't have success in Miami, because I enjoyed coaching in Miami, but I found out in that experience that I like coaching in college better because you could develop players personally, academically, athletically, and all that a little more than in pro ball. Even though I love the status of coaching in pro football and the kind of guys you coached and you're coaching in the best league against the best players, I loved all that. So then I can't go back to LSU, go to Alabama, and no disrespect to Alabama. It's not Alabama versus LSU. It's just Jimmy Sexton stood on the balcony when I was getting ready to leave LSU and make a decision about whether I went to Miami or stayed at LSU. And he said, what do you want your legacy to be as a coach? Do you want to be Vince Lombardi or do you want to be Bear Bryant? And without hesitation, I said Bear Bryant. And he said, what are you doing going to Miami then?
It's an interesting lack of self-awareness that Jimmy Johnson knew himself well enough that he's like, I will leave college. I don't want to leave Miami. It's my ego. I need to test my ego against the best. And the reason I bring this up is because we were talking yesterday about something that I found fairly shocking, which is Dan Hurley's arguing with a referee, UConn's basketball coach, back-to-back champion, clearly great. And he says, don't turn your back to me. I'm the best coach in the bleeping game. If that's the ego of Hurley, what do you think the ego of Pat Riley is? What do you think the ego of Nick Saban is if that exists inside of Dan Hurley and gets spit out loud? Can you explain to me these authority figures, the size of their egos after they have had success, and where and why they have to test that ego against the best?
Because it's the only way to push yourself. You have to have a healthy amount of ego. And everyone has their own opinion on what a healthy amount of ego is. When I saw Coach Hurley's thing, it didn't strike me at all. I loved it.
That he said it out loud didn't surprise you?
It does not surprise me that when you're in the heat of battle, that is your mindset about yourself. I know the answers more than anybody else. Nobody does this thing better than me.
I'm not surprised that that's the mindset. I'm surprised that his rage made him speak it.
He's in that. He's locked in. It's like an actor who is method acting. Like, I am in this character. This is who I am right now. So the fact that is how he's approached every interaction at that stage does not surprise me. Whenever you're a character in a movie, it's, okay, this is who this person is. And when I am locked in, this is how I react. So you've heard of actors who now treat people on the set like the character would. They respond to everything, whether the camera's on or off. That's how I looked at Hurley, is that, I want this ref to talk to me. And in this character that I'm in competition and being fierce, don't you ever look away from me. I'm the best.
Big breaking NFL news. Adam Schefter is reporting that the Raiders and Pete Carroll are aiming to work out an agreement to make him their new head coach.
Wow. That's where you give all the woos that you gave earlier about Larry Bird. That's the bomb drop. Thank you. That's it. I like it.
Not a real song.
I believe that Pete Carroll, the bigger news there, and Tom Brady returning to be his quarterback. Player owner. No, I'm just speculating.
I think he has to divest.
Why is there no excitement for Pete Carroll being
there? This is shocking. He's the oldest head coach in the league. Tom Brady was controlling this job search, as Diana Rossini told us, and he's hired a coach that he beat in a Super Bowl, which is interesting.
The Raiders haven't won a playoff game in 22 years.
Why doesn't anybody talk like we played that Saban clip and he said Jimmy Sexton asked him, "Do you want to be Vince Lombardi or do you want to be Bear Bryant?" At that point, like, you know, Pete Carroll was dominating in USC. Why isn't Pete Carroll like one of these great comps? Because he did it in the college game and he did it in the pro game.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think Pete Carroll, I don't know why Pete Carroll doesn't quite get that level of respect.
Well, he lost a Super Bowl single-handedly.
It was a bad loss.
He blew out Peyton. Blew him out. Blew him out and lost.
But he is single-handedly responsible for losing a Super Bowl. Like, when do you have those with a coaching decision that's that obvious? The game ends, Tom Brady's on the sideline, and Tom Brady has nothing to do with why it is the championship's being won. Like, how often do you have a coaching decision at the end of a game that's just like, yep, I'll remember forever that coach made that decision?
Just a little unfair.
Are you saying that that's why he's not looked at that way, or you're saying that that's an indicator that he's not at the level?
I am not tarnishing his legacy. I'm saying if I say word association, Pete Carroll, I don't know that people are going to won championships instead of lost championships.
I don't think so. I think more people. I mean, me personally, I think yes. Obviously, you should have run the ball. I don't think that diminishes everything that he did. It also was a great play. It was a great play by Malcolm Butler.
Yeah, D2 guy. I love that Pete Carroll, what he's done with USC. Obviously, like, we don't talk about it as probably much as we should, but also Seattle. Even the decision to even have Russell Wilson as your quarterback was a tough decision to make.
How old
in that
is
situation.
he? Is Pete Carroll?
Flynn had just got there with all the money they gave him.
How old?
He was already the oldest coach when he was coaching, right? He's got to be in his late 70s.
I would guess 73.
I'm going to guess slightly older than that.
Hawkins is right on the money.
Look at Hawkins, right on the money.
I may not know pores, baby, but I know age.